All right, guys, we're on Ivan Turgenev's First Love, chapter 16. So let's see. I think I figured out the story already. I think Zenaida is actually, she's in love with a married man. She's actually in love, I believe, with Vladimir's dad. And Vladimir, poor Vladimir. So chapter 16, Ivan Turgenev's First Love. After dinner, the party gathered again at the lodge, and the young princess came down to them. The party was there in full force as on that first, to me, unforgettable evening. Even Nurmatsky brought himself to attend. This time Maidanov arrived before anyone else with some new verses. They played forfeits again, but this time without the eccentricities and the foolery and noise of the earlier occasion. The gypsy element had gone. Zenaida gave the evening a different mood. I sat beside her as her page. In the course of the evening she proposed that whoever had to pay a forfeit should tell his dream, but this was not a success. The dreams were either boring. Bylovzarov had dreamt that he had fed carp to his mare and that she had a wooden head, or were unnatural and too obviously made up. Maidanov treated us to a full-blown romantic tale, complete with sepulchres, angels with lyres, talking flowers, and sounds of music floating from afar. Zenaida did not let him finish. If we are to have made-up stories, she said, then let everyone quite definitely invent something and tell us that. Bylovzarov again was obliged to begin. The young hussar was acutely embarrassed. I can't think of anything to say, he cried. What nonsense, Zenaida caught him up. Can't you imagine? Let us say that you are married and tell us how you would arrange your life with your bride. Would you lock her up? I should. And you would remain with her yourself? Certainly, I should certainly stay with her all the time. Admirable, and if this happened to bore her, and she deceived you, I should kill her, and if she ran away, I should pursue and catch her and still kill her. I see, and supposing that I were your wife, what would you do then? Bylovzarov, after a silence, said, I should kill myself. Zenaida began to laugh. I see your tale is quickly told. The next forfeit was Zenaida's. She looked up at the ceiling and sat thinking. What's up, bro? Listen, she began at last. This is what I have thought of. Imagine a magnificent palace, a summer night, and a wonderful ball. The ball is being given by a young queen. Everywhere gold, marble, crystal, silk, lights, jewels, flowers, burning incense, every extravagance of luxury. You like luxury, Lucian interjected. So he's asking her. Luxury is full of loveliness, she rejoined. I adore all that is lovely. More than the beautiful, he asked. That sounds too clever. I don't understand it. Don't interrupt. Well then, the ball is magnificent. There are many guests. They are all young, beautiful, brave, and are all madly in love with the queen. Are there no women among the guests? Asked Malevsky. No, or wait, there are. All ugly? No, ravishing, but the men are all in love with the queen. She is tall and graceful. Upon her dark locks is set a small diadem of gold. I looked at Zenaida, and at that moment she seemed so high above us all. Such luminous intelligence, such power shone from her calm white brow that I thought, you are your own story, queen. They all throng about her. Zenaida continued, they make speeches of fulsome flattery to her. And she likes flattery? Lucian asked. How insufferable he is. He will interrupt all the time. And who doesn't like flattery? Just one last question, put in Malevsky. Has the queen a husband? Why, I hadn't thought about that. No. Why a husband? Of course, echoed Malevsky. Why indeed? Silence, exclaimed Maidanov in French, which he spoke badly. Merci, said Zenaida to him. And so the queen listens to their speeches, hears the music, but does not glance at any of the guests. 6 windows are open from the floor to the ceiling, and beyond them a dark sky with large stars, and a dark garden with huge trees. The queen gazes into the garden. There, near the trees, is a fountain. It is white in the darkness, and tall as a ghost. The queen hears through the talk and the music the soft plashing of its waters. She looks and thinks, you, sirs, you are all noble, clever, rich. You throng round me. Every one of my words is precious to you. You are all ready to die at my feet. You are all my slaves. But there by the fountain, by the plashing water, he whose slave I am awaits me. He wears neither gorgeous raiment nor precious stones. No one knows him, but he awaits me. Sure that I shall come, and there is no power in the world that can stop me when I want to go to him, to be with him, to lose myself with him there in the darkness of the garden, with the rustling of the trees and the murmur of the fountain. Zenaida was silent. And is this fiction? Malevsky asked craftily. Zenaida did not even look at him. And what should we have done, gentlemen, began Lucian suddenly, if we had been among the guests and had known about this fortunate man by the fountain? Wait, wait, Zenaida intervened. I will myself tell you how you would each have behaved. You, by Lovzarov, would have challenged him to a duel. You, Maidanov, would have perpetrated an epigram against him. Or no, you don't know how to write epigrams. You would have written a long poem in iambics in the style of Barbier and would have got it into the Telegraph. You, Nurmatsky, would have borrowed. No, you would have lent him money at interest. You, doctor, she stopped. Now about you, I don't know what you would have done. Acting in my capacity of court physician, answered Lucian, I should have advised the queen not to give balls when she was not in the mood for guests. Perhaps you would have been right, and you, Count? And I, echoed Malevsky with his malevolent little smile. You would have offered him a poison sweet. Malevsky's face gave a little quiver and for an instant took on a Jewish expression, but he at once let out a loud laugh. As for you, Waldemar, Zenaida continued, however, that's enough. Let's play another game. Monsieur Waldemar, as the queen's page would have carried her train as she ran into the garden, Malevsky observed with venom. The blood rushed to my face, but Zenaida quickly put her hand on my shoulder and rising said in a voice which trembled a little, I never gave your excellency the right to be insolent, and therefore I must ask you to leave. She pointed to the door. But princess, I beg you, muttered Malevsky, turning quite pale. The princess is right, cried Byalozorov, and also rose. I do assure you, I never imagined, Malevsky went on. Surely there was nothing in my words that I hadn't the remotest intention of insulting you. Please forgive me. Zenaida looked at him coldly and coldly smiled. Very well then, stay, she said with a careless gesture of the hand. There was no reason for me and Monsieur Waldemar to be so angry. You find it amusing to sting. I hope you enjoy it. Forgive me, said Malevsky once again. While I, thinking of Zenaida's gesture, reflected again that no real queen could have shown a presumptuous mortal the door with greater dignity. The game of forfeits continued for a short time after this little incident. Everyone was slightly embarrassed, not so much on account of the scene itself, but because of another undefined but oppressive feeling. No one mentioned it, yet everyone was conscious of it in himself and in his neighbor. Maidanov read us his verses, and Malevsky praised them with exaggerated warmth. How kind he is trying to seem now, Lucian whispered to me. We soon dispersed. Zenaida suddenly became pensive. The princess set word that she had a headache. Nurmatsky began to complain of his rheumatism. For a long time I could not sleep. I was deeply affected by Zenaida's story. Can there have been some hidden meaning in it? I kept asking myself, at whom, at what could she have been hinting? And if there really was something to hint at, how could one be sure? No, no, it cannot be, I kept whispering, turning from one hot cheek to the other. But I would recall the expression on Zenaida's face as she told her story, and I remember the remark with which Lucian had burst out in Neskuchny Gardens, the sudden changes in her behavior to me, and could find no answer. Who is he? These three words seemed to stand before my eyes in the darkness. It was as if a low, malignant cloud were suspended over me. I felt its weight and waited from moment to moment for it to burst. I had become used to a great deal of late, had seen too much at the Zazyeskins, their untidy lives, the greasy candle ends, the broken knives and forks, the gloomy bony fatty, the shabby maids, the manners of the old princess herself. This queer form of life no longer surprised me. But there was something which I now fancied I dimly perceived in Zenaida, something to which I could not reconcile myself. An adventuress, my mother had once called her. An adventuress, she, my idol, my goddess. The word seared me like a flame. I tried to escape from it into my pillow. I burned with indignation, yet at the same time, what would I not have done, what would I not have given to be that darling of fortune, the man by the fountain? My blood was on fire and whirling within me. The garden, the fountain, I thought. I will go to the garden. I dressed swiftly and slipped out of the house. The night was dark, the trees scarcely murmured, a soft chill fell from the sky. The scent of herbs came floating across from the kitchen garden. I went round every walk. The soft sound of my own footsteps increased my nervousness and yet gave me confidence. I would stand still, wait and listen to my heart beating fast and heavily. At last I went up to the fence and leaned on a thin post. Suddenly, or was it my fancy, a woman's figure glimmered past a few paces away. I peered intently into the darkness. I held my breath. What was that? Did I hear steps, or was this again the beating of my heart? Who is it? I faltered almost inaudibly. What was that again? A smothered laugh, or the rustling of leaves, or a sigh close by my ear? I grew frightened. Who is it? I repeated, still more softly. For an instant the air stirred round me. A streak of fire flashed across the sky, a falling star. Zenaida, I wanted to ask, but the sound died on my lips. All at once everything became profoundly quiet round me, as often happens in the middle of the night. Even the grasshopper ceased chirruping in the trees. Only somewhere a window squeaked. I stood still for a time and then went back to my bed, now grown quite cold. I felt a strange excitement as if I had gone to a rendezvous, but had not myself met with anyone, passing close by another's happiness. Passing close by another's happiness. That's funny. Okay, so the man near the fountain, I would go to the garden dressed. The night was dark. The trees scarcely murmured. A soft chill fell from the sky. So, the man near the fountain. I burned with indignation, yet at the same time, what would I have not done? What would I have not given to be that darling of fortune, the man by the fountain? So I'm going to highlight that. Damn, it's fucked up. It's going to be his dad, I bet. I guarantee it. I guarantee it.